brother, y'all
Thank
need
you
something
everyone,
to,
and welcome to the Uplift Central Coast Coalition listening session. We're very happy for you to be here. These are conversations that we're going to be having across 6 different counties, and your presence and your voice means a lot to us. So thank you for taking the time to be here with us. First of all, as we gather today, I want to acknowledge that this land we stand on is native land that carries the heritage and culture of the indigenous people of many, many tribes, both federally and non-federally recognized. This land we are on today, we have the honor to live, work, play, and gather across our region, is land that indigenous people continue to steward as their ancestral homelands. We honor the indigenous people connection to these territories and respect the land on which we gather. As we live and learn in these territories, I encourage all of us to remember that decolonization and recognition expands beyond these statements. Acknowledgement by itself is a small gesture and only becomes meaningful when coupled with authentic relationship and informed action, which is what we intend to continue to grow in our work with the Uplift Coalition. Now first, I skipped my introduction, and you're wondering who is she. My name is Celeste Lopez Baird, and I am the Director of Economic and Community Development at MBEP. And I'm
say the last word, what did you say?
MBEP.
MBEP?
MBEP is the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership.
Okay.
All
right.
And I'm overseeing the CERF planning process for the Northern Coast region, and we'll dive into more details on what does that mean. A couple of housekeeping items. We have refreshments here if anyone wants water, coffee, cookies. The restrooms are outside. Right to the left is the men's restrooms, and across the lobby is the women's restroom. Next slide, please. Next slide. And, okay, yes. So what should you expect today? I'm going to take some time to introduce our team, and we're going to share a little bit about the project and our progress in the work we are doing in the county. And then we're going to turn it into you through breakout sessions, because this is what we're here for you. I'm going to turn the spotlight to you and your voices and your experiences. And then at the end, we're going to have some upcoming community convenings in other counties across the Central Coast. Next slide. Okay, before we dive into the day, these are some guiding principles that our team has been seeking to foster throughout this effort. So we ask you to challenge your conventional thinking, to challenge your own biases, practice curiosity, seek out different perspectives. In general, just be open in sharing your perspective, but also in the way you think. This is a very different type of economic planning process, one that requires that we share our experiences around the table as equal decision makers, alongside each other, to do the big work it takes for us to move forward. Next slide. So, what's Uplift? What's Uplift? Who is Uplift? So, Uplift is a coalition of 3 organizations. And between the 3 organizations, we represent 6 counties. It's MBEP, the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, EDC, our fiscal agent co-convener, and REACH. We have in the northern region, which is where we are today, we represent Santa Cruz, San Benito, Monterey, and Uplift includes San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. And now I'm going to introduce you to our team. This is who we are. This is the MBEP team and the Uplift team. There's more people that collaborate with us that help us with recollating data and building more partnerships across the Central Coast. Thank you. Next slide. So I'm going to explain to you what CERF is. But first of all, I want to acknowledge that We all know that the 6 counties experience extreme wealth inequalities. The economic obstacles faced by historically excluded communities are incredibly difficult to overcome. And these are just examples of data that we have. For example, in San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, 53% of pre-COVID jobs were low wage, which means an average of $25,000 per year. 1/3 of households in the region have income levels below the United Way's real cost measure. And 60% of K-12 students are economically disadvantaged. 60%. Race remains the #1 indicator of outcomes in Monterey County, dictating the economic prosperity of communities. Next slide. So, CERF is acronym for Community Economic Resilience Fund. And this program was created to promote a sustainable and equitable recovery from the economic distress of COVID-19. It's a program designed to create new plans and strategies that help diversify local economies, develop sustainable industries to create better jobs for all Californians. Next slide. Our North Star is economic opportunity, equity, and sustainability. This North Star guides our governance, our stakeholder engagement, and our project criteria and metrics.
So I have a question.
Yes.
How was it developed? How did they develop and make the decision to do this?
Yes, so actually that's the next slide.
Oh, good.
Oh, well, no, the next one after this. I'll get to
You
that.
You'll get there.
I'll get there. Well, yeah, this is just a group of stakeholders that we have. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can, it's environmental justice organizations, worker centers, disinvested communities, government agencies. These are the people that we bring to the table. Now the next one. Our governance structure. So this is us, this is Uplift, this small piece. The rest is community engagement. So we are the project administration for the CERF program. Uplift nominated people that are part of these groups. They nominated 10 members to be part of the Vision Committee. The Vision Committee nominated 12 members from each region. The Central Coast, we divided it in Northern Subregional Steering Committee and Southern Subregional Steering Committee. Each one has 12 members. They all represent at least one of those groups.
You know, can I ask?
Yes.
I don't see anything of business on there.
Yeah, there's business.
Employers?
Employees,
Okay, I see.
business associates.
Okay, thank you.
So when was this all
I
about?
got.
This
I
was
looked from the
developed
area.
2021. Yeah. Denise, 2021, right?
The governance structure or the project in general?
The project in general.
Yes, so that was 2020, last year. So 2020,
Yes.
and then they were awarded in October of 2022.
Correct.
So during COVID.
Well, this was because it was like the result. Once they saw the
needs.
the distress, the
Yeah.
economic distress that the communities were struggling with, that's where this came from. This happened after.
And the steering committee and the vision committee, they were just kind of voted in this year, a couple months back.
Okay.
And by the way, Derek Williams is on our vision committee, so he is a part of this as well.
Okay.
Yes, state legislation passed 2021 to have the funds available for the state, and then the state broke up the California into 13 regions. So we're the 6th county, one of the regions, and we are from Ventura all the way to Santa Cruz County, and that's how the Community Economic Resilience Fund.
And it's a little cut off over there, but it says listening sessions and roundtables because that's where the community like this is happening. So that's where we are using as to feed the information and listen to where the communities are at. And then I'm going to dive a little bit even more deeper in the next slide, where I'm going to explain the process that the Uplift program had. So the first process was the staging and setup. We already did all this, that's why it's checked. We already established the inclusivity fund, the steering committee, the vision committee. This is done. We are now in the second phase, which is the analysis and mapping, where we are understanding our region. We are conducting these listening sessions, the community convenings. We're gonna start conducting regional roundtables at the end of this month or early September. And we're gonna develop a project proposal pathway. The third stage is the strategy and planning, where it's going to be created a tailored regional economic development. And is when they're going to recommend investments in regional strategies and projects.
So just a question, since the part is cut off, is it possible for us to get a copy of this?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's actually all in the Uplift website.
Okay.
We have more like webinars where they explain in more depth, and we have the slides as well. Okay. And now the next slide is my favorite, because this is what I think it makes it very unique and special, because the Inclusivity Fund was created with, it was $1.25 million were allocated for this Inclusivity Fund. And what it means is that we are giving a stipend up to $100 to gift card per participant. This was meant with for the reason to ensure inclusivity engagement. Because we know that people have multiple jobs, they need child care, they just don't have the means of transportation. So what we're doing is we're going directly to the communities, and we give them a stipend in compensation for their time, their opinion, and their voice. We think it's valuable, and they deserve this. And so, but why are we hosting these sessions? Well, because we want to listen. We want to have a bigger ear, a smaller mouth. We want to listen to your challenges, to your aspirations, and we want to foster partnerships. What are we going to do with the data that you provide with us? It's going to be incorporated into our regional plan, which will be submitted to the state as part of the CERF requirements. And we also want to continue to build long-term community connections. So this is what CERF is, why we are here, and who we are. And now I'm going to turn it to you, the spotlight. And Jaysana, and I'm sorry I didn't introduce you, Jaysana. She is our admin and outreach coordinator for Uplift and MBEP. And thanks to her, we're here. She made the connection with Derek, and we're very grateful for her. So she's going to help us to the next part of the session. You have time?
Yeah, so as Celeste stated, I am the operations manager at Monterey Bay Economic Partnership. And I think a big thing for me, especially being born and raised in this region, is to ensure that when we talk about economic development planning, everybody's at the table, you know what I mean? Not just specific people. And that's when, you know, Derek and BLEC came aboard, the Village Project came aboard as well, to ensure that through this process of planning, we are able to hear your guys' voices. And as you guys can see, how important it is to have you guys speak today. You know, join our breakout groups and really voice your opinions. I want to say that this is a safe space for you all to be very open about, you know, how you guys feel in this region, especially in your communities and your ethnic groups. I think that's the most important part here. So yeah, we're gonna head to the next slide. And then I'm gonna be in the corner right here because I'm gonna be typing, but I'm gonna ask you guys a few questions. And just raise your hand, or I can call on you. So in one word, what do you think of when you hear the term economic development?
We ain't gonna be able to afford what they develop.
It's a good one.
Only 10.
Growth.
Hey, Jetty, I want to wait a
Growth.
minute, give you some time to think about what you want to say.
Yeah, well, I didn't have to think about that.
economic development is normally meaning construction
Yes.
or some kind of planning is happening.
Hopefully jobs. Yes.
I think it's definitely infrastructure, you know, all of that encompasses in that community.
I agree. And in the back.
Housing that doesn't take 50% of the income each month.
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing. Yeah.
Welcome to Monterey.
Yeah.
We got
Another
over
hand.
here.
Oh, yes.
Janet, go ahead.
People know me.
Yes,
You're
famous.
Erasing history.
Anybody?
I would hope it would be collective bargaining and representation, financial collective representation.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share? Okay. So to what extent does economic development in this room do you guys think it affects you?
Cost of
Yeah, yeah, cost of living, cost goes up because of taxes.
More wealth.
A lot of times when they pass these economic development acts, they slide them in under a voting number. And so you're paying more to some organization, agency, or whatever they're doing, roads or whatever. You know, it's just more money out of taxpayers' pockets.
Well, it also, hopefully done the right way, will provide a robust community economic.
I agree, and I think a lot of it has to do with planning.
Planning. Yes.
Implementation, tracking.
More traffic.
Reporting.
More traffic.
I think of vacation homes and how many people that own homes here don't live here, but they rent out properties, which increases the prices of us trying to rent a place.
And I have one, and we keep saying affordable housing. There is no such thing as affordable housing in Monterey County. It should be low-income housing, because affordable housing towards whatever the market rent is still $500,000.
Yeah.
If the regular price is $1 million, affordable. So
Yeah, so low income.
Over here, second question, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So economic development, I tend to think it means civic or governmental planning and development or tax or revenue generation. So whatever that means, they're going to find a way to make money
Yeah.
off living on a regular basis. So I think that is, from my perspective, that would be the development plan.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, as you know, the economic development planning does happen, it could really lower, you know what I mean? The people who are born and raised here, own homes here, you guys are gonna end up paying a lot more.
or be boxed out.
Exactly, out of this region
Well,
because of that.
I'm an ex-politician, I don't believe that. Economic development helps the people, it don't hurt the people.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
Now you got me mixed up. When you started your presentation and everything, your major thrust was about economic development. Now see, what you use as economic development is not the standard of economic development in California. So your word is creating something. Economic development in California is creating the better the community. So it's kind of like you got us both trapped here. Because I'm like, wait a minute, these words are going a different way than what economic development is.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, because I'm an ex-politician, I know. But that's where I see the mix-up right now.
Yeah, I think just in general, it's, you know, how is it affecting you guys here as of right now? Exactly.
I would argue to differ with Zahara.
You don't want to say my name. I was trying to be under the radar.
This is great. We want to hear the different points of views. I think that's the most important part. Like, you have your opinion, she differs. We want to hear this.
I would argue to
Yes,
differ
ma'am.
with you. Like, I was born and raised here, and you know, I remember when I was younger, they had actual low-income housing for seniors, for people who, were 30. And now, my mother-in-law, she's living with us because she can't afford an apartment, not even a studio. And that's ridiculous because this outside of, Korea, this is the only home she's known, yet she can't even afford to rent here. And I mean, yes, ideally economic development should or is supposed to benefit the people, but in Monterey County, from what I've seen, is that it's only benefited a few people. It hasn't benefited the entire community. I mean, me alone, I've been saving for a house, but it's like you can't keep up with the prices as they increase. And now, if you want to buy a house now, it's like $120,000 down payment, which is supposed to be 20%. And that's, who can save $120,000 within enough time to keep up with the economy? Very few people. And so you see a lot of locals, people who are born and raised here, people who, have generations from here who can't even afford to buy a house or live here or, work here. You see the jobs that they brought in with the marina development, and they promised a lot of jobs, but who's working there? Who can afford to buy a house or rent working at Target?
Right.
I remember a discussion I had with,
There you go.
okay, I remember, I grew up here, I was born here, by the water tanks, I loved it. I remember when there was African-American businesses everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember just how beautiful, and wonderful it was as a community. I had a discussion a few days before Jerry Smith, those of you who remember him, passed away. And he and I were talking about that fact that where are all the African-American businesses? And we were developing a marketplace for business and trying to get the community and people back together. But it was very sad to see how that flight happened. And government didn't do anything about it. No one was doing anything about it because I actually believe, don't hate me for this, I'm a current politician. I actually don't like that word, I'm a public servant. But the fact of the matter is, it's those that are developing it, it's by design, that we are being put on the shelf, non-voices, unseen, etc., etc. And that's what needs to change. The people at the table making the decisions have to be people like us that are affected. And it should be people that live here.
Gerrymandering. That's what it's called.
I got to say something. No, both of you guys are right in a way, but it don't seem like anybody understands the regulations in this peninsula.
I do.
That raised the costs, that made the homeless, that did all. This is all born right here. Not just here, it's all over California.
Yeah.
So, I hear what you guys are saying, but economic development is totally different. I'm hearing more social problems from you guys, I'm sorry. But economic development is a total different beast. If you don't have economic development, you will stay the same way you are. Economic development generates and makes more. Now, as far as low-income housing, to the business person like me, economic development is good, but I'm required by law 20% set aside on low-income housing. I mean, I must build 20%. So there's mechanisms there,
Yes.
but regulations, the way they put them, keeps it down. That's why we're stuck where we're at. Economic development is the total opposite of what I'm hearing in here, and I'm sorry because it sounds social to me. Economic development is a blessing for every community.
Right.
I mean, we're about to build University Village.
Yes.
The problem is they slowed economic development because of the water and all those issues around here. They slowed all the economic development, which increased the amount of homelessness because everything went up. Lack of product, prices go up. That's just how it is. You know, and so now with all this new development, that's where our blessings are going to come. But I think you guys are using economic development as a wrong.
The purpose of this meeting is not to be right.
No, I'm not asking for right. I'm just saying the wording of economic development is different.
Let me finish. The purpose of the meeting is not to be right. The purpose of this meeting is, regardless of what you can define it to be, to her, it means I can't buy a house. That's the question. How do you think this affects you? What do you feel? Whether I am appropriately or disproportionately accurate or astute in the area of business or politics or academia, that's completely irrelevant to anybody else in this room. Because what it means to you is what it means to you. And this is what the state wants to hear, what it means to you. And when we all get our voice in, then the state can say, we will incorporate what we have never heard in the planning going forward. So the help you're talking about becomes more actual to people like her.
And I mean, I agree with what you're saying as far as economic development does bring money into the area. But if you look at the economic development that's been done within the last 5-10 years, within like, you know, Seaside, Monterey, CEDS, whatever, it hasn't gone back to the people. I mean, you brought up university, what is it?
Village.
Yeah, Village. And they've been talking about that for years. It's actually placed on hold now.
Right.
And when you look at who it's going to benefit, it's faculty, staff, and students. And they will have businesses, but as far as like housing goes, it's faculty, staff, and students. And if you're not any of those things, which when you look at even faculty and staff, the majority aren't even locals. So how does that benefit locals outside of the business aspect? Which, yes, it brings in the ability for people to open up a business, but the majority of people will be employees of that business.
Well, I love the idea of hearing all the voices and their interpretation of what economic development means and the impact on you. Let's try to get through this so we can hear the voices and hear what you guys are doing.
No, we're not going to go through all of
We're not going through all of
that.
these. We chose questions to ask you guys.
Can we start over?
I just want to hear what you guys are doing.
Because we're going to have breakout sessions where it's
to
going to
really
be
talk about this stuff.
is the bulk of the meeting.
Yes.
That's
So
where I want to get to.
this is a warm up.
Well, we can read it.
Okay.
Yeah, read it.
Right.
But he did have your hand raised.
Sometimes it's the structure of the question that is asked.
Exactly.
Perhaps is maybe we want to ask what is our current state and how the current economy is impacting us, and then you ask what do you expect from this? So to me, that's the way I would ask that question.
Nice response.
Because everybody has a different approach to questions and answers.
Man, that's fine.
Okay. We're not sure what's going on there.
Shoes cost
Trying to
50
fix it.
cents,
Or you
man.
guys
Oh,
will-
yeah. No, I'm back. I need what you want. See, my thinking.
Is it one?
I know. Dude, I'm here.
Okay, we're gonna
They hear
go on. So we're gonna keep going. In one word, what is the most challenging about living and working in this area? I feel like
One word. One
we
word.
already spoke about it.
I bet she wants to say something.
Go ahead.
You gotta watch your
I need
step.
to think about
Okay.
Stay broke.
What did you say? What did you say?
Broke.
I didn't
Oh, broke.
You said what's the challenge of living here? You stay broke. Good air though.
Transportation. Lack of.
Well, I think the blessing of living here is everybody really wants to come here. We got the ocean, we got the climate, so we have the season. I don't know what you want to call it.
Nature.
Yeah.
So we are going to have that question, and you guys are going to be able to share what's the most meaningful part about being in this region. I think we all know it's beautiful, especially for us who've grown up in this region. Anybody else for the most challenging living here?
I guess from what everyone's saying, housing.
affordability.
Yeah, I mean, some, if you were lucky enough to have, purchased a home, like within the last 10, 11 years, you benefited, it was a blessing. But for those who haven't been able to, like, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, I thank God every day that I was able to purchase a home when we did. But when I look at the prices of homes right now, like, it's sad. It's very, very sad, right? Because then I question, like, are my children going to be able to
purchase a home. You know, like I sit here and sometimes think like, hey, like my home is worth 3 times the amount that we paid for it when we bought it. But if that house, if our equity in our house goes down 50% for someone else to be able to purchase and have an opportunity, then so be it, right? Like, so housing seems like that's a big challenge and a big barrier for, you know, people in this community, and that's
whole state.
How about the lack of diversity as far as economic engines, such as, and I got so I can be clear about it. We know we got jobs here, but what kind of job we got here? Hospitality. Well, why can't we have something Amazon where our young kids can start early and stuff like that?
Yeah,
so we don't have a diverse economic engine to allow our young kids to experience different things other than hospitality.
Yeah.
So we need to diversify our county.
Just for that question alone, we are, especially at InBeth alone and as UCSC, we have a state-of-the-art aviation company called Joby,
Yeah.
and they do planning for children as well. You go through a process, they train you on how to manufacture these helicopters that everybody in the U.S. want, and they are at the Marina
So it's
airport.
like an apprenticeship program?
Exactly,
That's
which is a
what I
very
want.
beautiful
That's-
thing.
You need to.
But that I feel like is at a different.
Right.
This
No,
is
no,
it.
but-
That's different.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of the challenges I think is, you know, this is an amazingly, I can't think of the word, but academically, I mean, the colleges and schools we have here are pretty good, you know, pretty dang good, and Miss and Air Force grad and everybody else. There's a lot of brilliant minds on here, but what we don't have, and it kind of goes to what Daryl was saying, whoops, sorry. What we don't have, what kind of goes to what Daryl was saying, is a school or strong enough educational base for trades.
Yes.
We need
Apprenticeship program.
Yeah, we need
More, yeah.
They're state sponsored. I mean, you guys know all that, and that's what I'm here to kind of promote.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's 18 though, right?
Huh?
No.
No, it doesn't always have to be.
No, it's industries of need,
Well, that's
like engineers.
I agree on that. I'm glad he said that, but I'm saying even different. You got one faucet. You either buy a car, you go hospitality, or you work for the university. So you got 3 things.
Right.
If our young people grow, and I'm born and raised here, so
Bringing
I'm
commerce.
60 years old now. I'm saying there's nothing different than that. It's dead right there.
Yeah.
Amazon, all that land out there could have built
Yes.
something. Movie theaters could have built something. I'm saying we've so got ourselves locked where we listen to one side of the bay because of traffic or something, and then we don't build nothing else outside of those 3 faucets.
Yeah.
And that's,
also,
we're stuck.
A good push me, pull me is the Coastal Commission. I mean, we need the Coastal Commission to maintain what we're having to protect, you know, the refuge of Monterey Bay and Peninsula. But at the same time, I mean, I know people who want to dig a trench in the front yard, and the Coastal Commission says no. You know, I mean, they have way too much influence and way too much power, controlling and hamstringing, you know, the cities and other organizations. I mean, it's a great organization, but
The
a
legislative
little too far.
infrastructure is a challenge.
Yes.
For anyone looking to bring commerce to the peninsula. It's a huge challenge. However, one of the solutions is to develop programs that provide skill sets that can go right into work as an alternative to a formal education system.
I completely agree, and it could be something that's, you don't have to be 18, but something that these children go through in high school, even middle school, if that's the case. You know what I mean? So they're trained as the years go on, and when they finish that apprenticeship, you know that when you're in college or when you end up joining, you know what I mean, the organization, either you go through apprenticeship and you're paid internship and then you get the position, or however the case may be. I think that's a beautiful thing, and we do need more of that.
Planting the seeds.
Yes.
I was at a town hall meeting put on by Councilmember Pacheco last week, and they hired a new economic development person. And then he allowed all of us to ask him questions, and I said, what are you going to do about jobs, new jobs? Bring them into this community, because we have everything we're saying today, just a couple of alternatives. And he said that's something he did in Southern California, and that's something he will do.
Yeah.
But we need to let him know, let's look at these different industries. A lot of it has to do with governance. It goes back to who you're electing and what are they going to do about it.
Yeah.
You gotta,
What did you say his title was?
economic development. They just hired a new
Say that again?
economic development officer.
That's my case. I'm trying to tell you that's.
Well, we get what you mean. I mean, IMPEP in general, we are an economic development organization, which is why we work on the Joby aviation things. And Denise is out there, and she's our economic development manager. And she works on kind of the political side of things as well as, you know what I mean, creating an EDA tech hub and a designation in the marina airport to turn that into a tech park.
Yes.
How do we ensure that the children are a part of that?
See, that's what I want to say something about because it's interesting. Just off the cuff, we know our history just a little bit. This discussion of education versus trade education is the same argument, the same discussion that W.M. Du Bois had with Booker T. Washington. And they conflicted over the exact same issues, whether we have trade or whether we have higher education. And the effect has always been economics and progression for people who are unheard. We're having the same conversation now that was had 100 years ago. And that's scary.
And nothing has changed.
And that's changed.
Okay, let's move on.
I don't know if Denise wants to, we should probably go to the next question. Or do you want to give them an overview about Joby and then the tech park that
we would love, in our small group discussions, we can dive into these different questions. But no, it's about MBEP, we partner with industry, government, academia, working together to bring federal resources, through the EDA, and that's all part of our collaborative work that we do for the Tri-County region. It's identifying and retaining those resources to improve our communities.
Is there a way this organization, I don't know if the clarity just says what you just said.
I'm sorry?
This organization, all right, so you got state money.
MBEP, we are a nonprofit.
MBEP, okay. But do you got to report to the county?
No. So we are not. We are a nonprofit, but we do work with our local government to identify resources.
I'm just saying in the way of you saying money. California's so backward in the way it operates. It's almost like before you as a nonprofit get any dollars, it goes to the county first, and then comes to us. And that's one of the biggest problems about this county. Because if you're in this area, and I know some of these nonprofits in here, work hard trying to do things, but it's almost like, you work hard as long as you report to us, the county. So are you guys group totally going to be different?
Well, we are we are a member-based organization, so we rely heavily on member fees, and we provide that technical assistance to our cities, to our counties.
But I think the most important part is how do we partner with an organization like us, especially within Uplift, when there are other nonprofits in this community and these initiatives do come about and we talk to you guys about them, how do we partner and say, hey, we do have an organization that we can help. We do have an organization we can, state funding, government funding, whatever the case may be. How do we ensure that and how do we meet these people in this room? It's research, how I met Derek and Joy, how I met the Village Project, you know what I mean? It's new, it's evolving, I would say.
A challenge in this area is the quality of jobs giving benefits. Majority of hospitality, and some people don't want to be airplane technicians and doctors. They just want a job to provide for their families, sick loved ones. But a lot of these jobs that people get when they're 18 or 16 and they work really hard so they can pay their rent, unfortunately they put all their time and effort to these jobs, but they don't give benefits. And so the hard thing is, because not all of them are giving benefits, they don't, only union jobs are giving benefits, like union hotels, etc. Hospitality with unions are giving benefits. So the private industry without unions, they haven't been able to provide for their workers the way to give them stability in this area. So it's not just about jobs, it's about if you create jobs, can you bring the whole package and not exploit workers? So that's the challenge in this area as well, where you have people wanting maximum profits because, for example, the hospitality industry, when 9/11 hit, a lot of the benefits like healthcare, vision, and dental were taken away. And they promised when they got back their economic engine and they got back profits, they'll try to bring it back. It's been years since 9/11. Those benefits never returned. They saw the profit of not paying the benefits and they didn't ease it back in, even though now they make millions because they're raising hotel prices from like, $200 a night before, now it's $700 a night. And so they're getting richer and they took away things that they promised to bring back. But there's no unions to enforce that. So it's not just jobs, it's quality jobs that actually care for people is what's missing in this area.
Okay, let's dive into the breakout rooms.
Yes.
There's 3 groups of 6.
Yeah, so there's 20 people here.
Yeah.
So let's break out into 6. We have chairs.
We have 2 groups outside,
Yeah.
so it's like more, ventilation.
So
6 people stay here.
You guys stay here.
A group stays here, 2 groups go outside. We'll be taking notes. Everything is anonymous. We already have the questions, and this is gonna be like a half an hour conversation. So, welcome back after these conversations that we had. We'd love to hear from you. A lot to talk about. That's why if you have more to say, please go in this. You just get this QR code. You can anytime just give your opinion. It's like a small, short survey.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So we want to be respectful of your times. I know it's late. There's transportation issues, and we want to wrap this up as soon as possible. If there's one person that would like to share what they talked about in their group briefly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can also designate somebody in your groups too to speak.
How about you?
Yeah, you can. Yes, could you do ours, please?
Yeah,
you're gonna cut to the chase, son.
Yeah, let's do it. So within the questions, I think we saw that there needs to be a need, especially for children within our region, to go through mentorships or apprenticeships, but really do it the right way and have people in the positions to do it. Another thing that we discussed is having the funds that are brought into our communities to ensure that whether it's mentorships, good paying jobs, we're bringing the tech development into this industry for children and us in general, and how important education is. And I think pretty sure there was a lot more.
Yeah.
And disinvested communities and youth and how important it is, especially with what you're doing, It's easy to kind of say that, okay, mentorships and apprenticeships are important, but how about communities that really, and children that are really have not came from anything and don't see a difference or a change in their lives? That's what you see in this region, which I'm happy that we were able to discuss here, because I would say compared to kind of our other community sessions, really getting to the nitty-gritty of what are the community members seeing within this region. That's the most important part.
Monica?
So we talked about people that really influenced this area, or organizations that influenced us and helped us out in this area, community that we have in our region, whether that's schools, whether that's our jobs. We talked about different aspects of economic development, from transportation and how cutting buses, or how different small changes that doesn't seem big actually does ripple effects for people that are disabled, low income, and different ethnics. A part of economic development is not just looking at money growth, but also there are intrinsic factors related to economic growth, from, again, benefits or healthcare, and what implications that means for those workers to be able to provide for families that are either disabled and or families that are living multi-generational households that are depending on 2 working adults. So those are just some factors that we discussed in our breakout.
Thank you. Thanks, Monica. Anyone in the other group that wants to briefly mention a couple of points they talk about? Denise, someone in your group that would like to
Oh,
share?
yes, just talking about access to what our group highlighted, what I'd love to hear is vocational opportunities. And not just apprenticeships in tech, you know, in tech fields, but, you know, HVAC and electricians and, you know, because not everyone's going to go to college, but we all still deserve a livable wage and really create more, more programs in those areas. So that was something I think what I haven't really heard. So that was a great. But obviously everything always boiled down to lack of affordable housing.
Yes.
So
that's a very common topic and challenge across the board. Okay, so we want you to stay engaged. Please, we have a website, uplift.org. You can look at our more sessions that we've had there, webinars. We have all this information, the slides that you saw, and we have upcoming events. This week, for example, tomorrow we have with the Village Project. We're having a listening session. We're having one on Thursday in Santa Cruz with the Community Action Board. We have next week with Copa, Mujeres. We're trying to expand, trying to listen all across the board, San Benito, Monterey.
So the one at the Village Project is 6 too? Is that 6 tomorrow night?
Which one?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I believe it's 5 to 7 tomorrow, right Denise? 5 to 7.
Tomorrow, the Village Project is going to be, I believe, the same time today, 6 to 8, 8:30.
Okay.
And
So-
then 5 to 7 on Thursday.
So is the subject at the Village Project any different than this?
It'll be the same, but I believe the Village Project, they want to target their parents.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Older adults.
Yeah, I mean the parents of the children that they.
Well, I'm saying everybody was invited to this. That's why I'm wondering what is going to be different that maybe I'll come.
It's not going to be any different besides they're probably.
It's going to be a different audience.
I know, but I'm just saying they're limited. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe something else. I'll go that one. But
no, no, fair. We're having community convenings, which is open to everyone, and then we're having listening sessions, which is more specific by organization. Like the Village Project, we'll have different challenges. Probably, we want to know, we want to learn than Copa or than Mujeres. So we want to learn and hear what every region, what challenges they face, what aspirations they have, and they will be overlap, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah. So spread the word. If you have an organization and want to host a community convening or a listening session, let us know. My name is Celeste at MBEP. We have Denise Silva and Jaisana Whiter. And thank you, Derek. Thank you, Jaisana, for putting this together. Thank you all for your being here. And just one more thing, we're going to be collecting the Inclusivity Fund form. So if you're eligible for a gift card, we will give it to you. If you cross one of the options, you're eligible. So meet us outside for that, and thank you for coming. Yes. Derek, one word.
If you guys think this has any value, does it have any value? I think it does. Thank you for putting this on, making this possible. But if you have any desire to get this further into the community, on the black sign-up sheet, give me your black sign-up on the black sign-up sheet. I'll put you in a special category. I'll email you again, and we can organize and work with you through your friends and family. We can create another session like this so that everybody can be heard.
Yes,
so if you're willing to do that, just leave your email with me, and we'll make sure that we can work to build something out for another.
Thank you, Derek. And thank you, everyone. I'll be outside. Thank you. Yes.